Hi everybody, it's Recipe Thursday again, and this week I have something very decadent for you. I have a double chocolate quick bread. I don't know about you, but a, a I'm addicted to chocolate. There, I said it. and This double chocolate quick bread is very simple, very easy, whips up in no time, and for those days when I just really need that chocolate, it hits the spot. Okay, so here we go. This is pretty simple. First thing we're going to do is mix our dry ingredients. Now remember, the recipe will be in the comments below when I post this, so if you really like it, the recipe will be there. Okay, so first of all, this is, we're going to whisk up our dry ingredients. This is 1.5 cups of flour and 1/3 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, and it will say on the can that it's unsweetened. I'll come back to your recipe. Okay, and then we've got 1/2 teaspoon of salt. This one, you know me, I don't measure this. It's about that much. Close enough. And a teaspoon of baking powder. Now this one you do want to measure. The baking soda and baking powder. Oops, that one's baking soda. I need baking powder. This is what gives your bread, your cake, your biscuits, whatever you're making. This is what gives it the lift. So this one you do want to measure. Baking powder, I need a teaspoon. And then this one also has baking soda. Not very much. It only has 1/4 teaspoon, but it is necessary to make it rise properly. Okay. Can y'all see me? I'm trying to get a good angle. I've got this fancy new iPad stand, so trying to get a good angle here. I hope it works. Anyway, there's our dry ingredients. You're just going to take a whisk and whisk them up. What this does is just get everything incorporated well. You don't want to just dump your dry ingredients into the wet. Sometimes the leavening agents, the baking soda, baking powder will clump together, but in my experience it's usually the cocoa that clumps together, and then you get big chunks of chocolate and it's just not good. Okay, so that's all mixed up together, nice and pretty. We'll put him off to the side. And then I have my handy dandy stand mixer. You do not need a stand mixer for this. There is no butter to cream. You can use your little hand mixer. If you don't have that, you can just use a spatula in your bowl. That will work just fine, but I have it, so I'm going to use it. Okay, so I need, okay, I've got 1/2 cup of unsweetened applesauce. Might have stolen that from my son's snack stash, but that's okay. And then I've got 1/3 cup of oil. This one is olive oil, but you can definitely use coconut, vegetable, safflower, whatever you have. Okay. And I've got 2 eggs. Oops. Now this will work. Remember, always crack your eggs into a separate bowl to make sure they're good. Yeah, he looks good. And number 2. Oops. I got a little eggshell in there. See, that's why you want to crack your eggs into a separate bowl. That would have gone right into my applesauce and I never would have gotten it back. Okay. 2 eggs right in there. Okay. 1 cup of brown sugar. Again, this is packed when you measure it. It's very important that you pack it down so you get the correct amount. And a little bit of vanilla. Now today I have something very interesting. Rather than regular vanilla extract, I have vanilla bean powder. It's evening time and I'm not used to the light in the evening, so bear with me. I'm trying to get this at the right place. This is vanilla bean powder. I've only seen this a couple times. Does the exact same thing as the liquid vanilla in about the same ratio. So we're just going to dump that in there. That smells so good. Vanilla always smells so good. I love it. Okay, and then the next thing is a cup of sour cream. Now this is just regular sour cream. If you don't have it, of course you can use Greek yogurt, plain Greek yogurt, nothing flavored. You don't want to be putting peach yogurt in your chocolate quick bread. That would be kind of strange. You could also use mayonnaise. And when I say mayonnaise, I mean real mayonnaise, not Miracle Whip. That is not going to turn you out a good cake. Real mayonnaise. It's a 1-to-1 ratio for substitutions with sour cream, Greek yogurt, and mayonnaise. Real mayonnaise, okay? So if it calls for, this is a 2/3 cup of sour cream. If I didn't have that, I would use 2/3 cup of plain Greek yogurt or 2/3 cup of mayonnaise. Turns out the same. Okay. And that's all. We're just going to raise the bowl and whip those up real quick. Simple. Takes no time at all. Lower your bowl down, scrape the sides. Make sure that you get all of that sour cream in there. Make sure there's no egg clinging to the side. Okay. He does not look like much now. If I can get my whisk off of here. Doesn't look like much now, does it? No, it's kind of a soupy mess. Anyway, put him off to the side for a minute. Okay, now we're going to add our dry ingredients. Now this is the flour and cocoa powder and whatnot that we whisked up. The reason that we whisk it all together, of course, is to avoid clumps. Alright, so I'm going to dump this in here. I took the bowl off just because it's easier. Okay, and I'm going to dump all of that in except for about that much. Okay, and you'll see why in a minute. That's maybe a tablespoon. Okay, and we're going to hold that back. You'll see why in a minute. Okay, put this back on here. Now, this is a quick bread. A quick bread is anything like banana bread, zucchini bread, pumpkin, anything like that. It is generally sweet, although it can be savory, but it's a bread that is leavened with the baking powder and the baking soda. One or both. One or the other or both. Okay? Doesn't have any yeast. That's why it's called a quick bread. It has no rise time. The only rise time it has is in the oven. Now, when you make a quick bread, you don't want to overmix it. With a regular yeast bread, you need to activate the gluten in there to give it that nice chew and that nice texture. You don't want to do that in a quick bread. A quick bread is more like a cake, of course, and you want it to be nice and tender. So when we dump our dry ingredients in, I'm going to raise the bowl. I'm going to mix until just combined. Just like we did the coffee cake last week, okay, until just combined. You do not want to overmix this. Your bread will get tough. And then it will be dry and it's just not good. Okay, start off slow. Mix him up. Okay, that is all I'm going to mix that. Alright. Seems kind of a shame to get the mixer out for no more than I'm using it, really. Okay. At this point, if you look in the bowl, you see that there are still places that are not mixed. Okay, get your spatula, mix it by hand. Just go around and in, okay? You'll get it mixed up in no time. If you continue to mix with the mixer, it's going to get tough. It won't rise properly, and just a whole host of bad things are going to happen. Okay, so just a few times around there, around the bowl with your spatula. All right, so this is now a chocolate batter. Looks lovely. It smells great. It smells so rich already. Okay, now it's time to make it double chocolate. So to make it double chocolate, we need a cup of chocolate chips. Now these are the big morsels. Oops, where's my camera? Camera, where are you, camera? There you are. These are the big morsels, okay? I'm also using dark chocolate because I love dark chocolate. You could use milk chocolate, semi-sweet, bittersweet, whatever you have on hand, but you need a cup, okay? And we're not gonna just dump these right into the batter. You're gonna take your last little bit of dry mix and there you go. See how they're nice and coated now? What this is going to do is keep your chocolate chips distributed evenly through the loaf. If you were to just dump those chocolate chips into the batter, just go right in, they're going to sink to the bottom. Okay, you mix them up nice and neat, but as it bakes, they will sink because there's nothing to hang on, nothing for the chocolate to hang on to. Okay, if you coat it with flour like this, and now remember, we're not adding any extra flour. This is part of the flour that was supposed to go into the batter, and it's all going to go in. Okay, you're not going to change the texture of the bread or anything because you're not adding any extra flour. But if you coat it with flour like this, the chocolate, as it melts and as the bread rises, the wet and the dry are going to stick together. Okay, and they're going to keep those chocolate chips right where they're supposed to be. This is also what you want to do if you're putting nuts in a bread, like banana nut bread. If you are doing some kind of a blueberry lemon bread, something like that, anything that has chunks, you want to coat the chunks with a little bit of flour first. That's going to keep them from falling to the bottom. Okay? All right, in they go. Notice I'm not mixing this with a mixer. I'm taking my spatula one more time, out and around, out and around. Okay, you're just folding in. Alrighty. Okay, that's it. Looks pretty, doesn't it? All right, now it's time to put this puppy in the pan. But first, let me take the one out of the oven that I have to show you. Oh my goodness, it smells so good. Where's my toothpick? There's my toothpick. Are we done? No, we need just a couple more minutes. Okay, we'll leave him. We'll come back to him. Okay, so this recipe makes one loaf, one large loaf like this. If you have the little disposable aluminum pans, you could do two, and that would be just fine. But this one is going to make one large glass loaf, okay? All right, so we need to grease the pan. Here's my lovely blue spray again. I love this stuff. When you grease a pan for quick bread, you only want to grease the bottom and up the sides about that far. The quick bread needs something to climb on, okay? If you grease the sides of the pan all the way up, it's not going to climb like it should. It's going to go part way up and then it's going to slide back down on itself, okay? Sometimes when I'm not paying attention, I'll grease the whole thing, and when I take it out of the oven, the product will have risen up the side, and it does actually come back in on itself. So it'll kind of have a little lip on it. Okay, that's not what you want. So you take your spray, and two things. Try to get it up close. Can you see that? Okay. turn him around. Just the bottom. Now, if I were to do like this, okay, this is not good. This is going to make him fall back down on himself. If you did that, it's real easy to fix. Just take your paper towel and wipe it off. Real easy. Okay? Because if it sticks around the edge, you can always take a thin little knife and run that around the edge and loosen it up. But you definitely want to grease the bottom because you can't get a knife down in there. It doesn't work. All right? Also, if you grease the sides all the way up, it will create what's called a fry line. Okay, so this oil is going to get hotter than this batter. Okay, and what happens to oil when it gets hot? It fries whatever's in contact with it. So you're going to get a line around your loaf of bread that's darker, it's kind of burned, it doesn't really smell good, doesn't really taste good. It's called a fry line. Okay, that's not fair quality. Don't take that to the county fair. The judge will tell you about it, believe me. But this is how you prevent that. Just make sure you only grease the bottom, and if you get up the sides, get your paper towel, just wipe it off. It's okay. All right. Okay. Enough talking. Let's get this thing in the oven. All right. Oh, it looks so good, so good, so good. And that one that's in the oven smells so good. Oh man, I wish you guys could smell it. All right. Get everything off of there. Okay. Yes, it's okay to use your fingers. Perfectly fine. All right, smooth out the top a little bit. And then, okay, we want to get rid of all of the big air pockets in our quick bread. You don't want tunnels, you don't want big air pockets. It should have a nice even texture throughout. So the way to get rid of those, and this is loud, I'm sorry, but this is the only way to do it. Take your pan and whack it on the countertop. Don't whack it so hard that your batter shoots up onto the ceiling. You don't want to clean that up, and you don't want to explain that either. Not that I've ever had to do that. But just whack it on the counter. Okay, ready? I'm sorry, it's loud. Okay, there we go. If we look at the bottom now, oh, I still see one big. There we go, much better. Much better. Okay, if we still see air pockets, you can take your knife and kind of go down in there and release them. Sometimes, however, this will actually make the pocket worse if you're not really careful. All right, there we go. Okay, here is our lovely double chocolate quick bread. Okay, so this is going to go into a preheated 350-degree oven, so I'm going to put him in. Okay, that's going to go in the oven. It's going to bake for about 40 to 50 minutes, depending on your oven. If you have a convection oven, of course, that's going to lessen the time that he bakes. That also depends on your oven, but mine, if I turn the convection on, it takes off about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on what I'm cooking, okay? Just kind of depends on your oven. All right, let's look and see if this if this second loaf of bread is ready, okay? Okay, I'm doing the toothpick test. If it comes out clean, it's ready, and I think it's ready. let's move this guy over so you can see it, okay? All right. There he is. Isn't he pretty? Okay, the cracks on the top are exactly what you want to see on a quick bread. It's very desirable. Generally, one good crack down the center is what you want. If it does not crack at all, that is generally an indication that you've overmixed it, okay? I'm giving you all kinds of fair tips here. I've taken things to the county fair for years and years and years, so I've learned a lot, and the judge in me just spews forth. I'm sorry. But you can learn a lot if you listen. Okay, so here's our toothpick test. Now this does have the chocolate chips in it, so it can be kind of deceiving. I'm going to put this in here. Okay, he came out clean. See, he's nice and clean. There's just a couple little crumbs up here. That's what you want to see. Now, I will show you how this is deceiving. If you put it in here, oh, I'm not going to find it now. There it is. I hit a chocolate chip. Okay, see how it has all that chocolate on it? Doesn't mean it's not done. It just means that you hit a chocolate chip. And this does have quite a bit in it. So if you do that, you're going to have to look at it and say, okay, is that batter? Is that chocolate? Generally, the chocolate is a lot shinier than the batter and smoother. The batter is going to be a little more chunky. Okay. Alrighty, there we go. Isn't he pretty? Alright, he baked for about 50 minutes. I'm going to let him cool for about 10 before I take him out of the pan, and then I'm going to let him finish cooling on the wire rack here. And if you can wait until he is completely cool to slice him, that would be great, but I can't wait that long. I'm sure you won't either. Alright, now remember the recipe is going to be posted in the comments below when I'm done. Happy cooking. I hope this hits the spot for your chocolate craving. Sure does mine. Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.